Hello, everybody. I'm John,
I'm Justin.
and we're the Gore,
Goblins.
and we like movies sometimes,
Yeah, sometimes we don't.
and sometimes we watch those movies that we do or don't like,
Yeah.
and then we talk about it here.
Yep.
So yeah, that's what we do, right?
And then we get sick.
Well, Justin gets sick because his allergies suck, and he refuses to take allergy medicine.
I take allergy medicine.
No, he's lying. He doesn't. I watch him. I have a camera.
Ever since
installed
I
in his
moved
home.
over to that house, I just get colds like nothing now.
Yeah, well, that's because you work in a warehouse. Actually,
Yeah, that
I don't
too.
think I don't think it's because of the house, Justin. Maybe maybe the house doesn't have good insulation like my room. I don't know, man. It doesn't matter. I don't care. Anyway, today
Oh, today.
is a very special day because we're talking about one of my favorite movies ever, and it's very inferior remake. And Kale had recommended to me, not that he watched the movies, but he recommended to me to watch the remake first, so that way I could go into it without having like immediate thoughts of the original. That did not help because the original is a movie that is stuck in my mind for so long. Did I even say the name of it? Did I say Martyrs? Martyrs is the
No.
movie. So the original version of Martyrs, which came out in 2008, is a movie that has like just burrowed its way into my fucking brain, and I think about it a lot more than I probably should. And then you have its remake, which came out in 2015, and it's an American remake because the original Martyrs is a French film. It often gets bundled in with like the French extremity movement, i.e., stuff like High Tension and stuff like Inside, Trouble Every Day, Irreversible. But this one doesn't really. I mean, it feels extreme, but it doesn't feel extreme in the same way as those movies. Mind you, the only two that I've seen from that. Well, I've seen three: Trouble Every Day, High Tension, and Irreversible. Two of those movies have extreme scenes of like sexual assault. One very extreme. And then High Tension is just basically like a throwback slasher movie made by a French dude that likes Texas Chainsaw Massacre. So that's and Maniac. So that's what that is. But this feels, not only does it feel head and shoulders above all of those movies, it feels so like disconnected from that quote unquote genre that it's kind of its own thing, and it's haunting. It's beautiful in a weird way, and it fucking just tears into you, and it will sit with you for like ever, dude. I'm not easily shaken. I'm not by movies anyway. I mean, I have my limits. Like I don't like vomit stuff usually. There's that scene in Syriana where George Clooney's getting his fingernails pulled out that always makes me squirm. But it's I don't really have. Like most of the time when I watch a movie that people say is like, oh, this movie's gonna fuck you up, it doesn't. It never fucks me up. I watched High Tension, and yeah, it's gory, yeah, it's violent, but it's not. There's nothing in there that's like, like whoa, I watched Evil Dead 2013 again, super gory and stuff, but like, it almost feels goofy. So I don't know. And then you have another one is like Texas Chainsaw Massacre, where people told me, oh, it's one of the most disturbing movies you'll ever see, and then I watch it and I just think it's kind of all right.
Yeah.
The only two movies that have ever like made me think, okay, this is what they said it was, is Irreversible and Martyrs. Those are the only two movies that I've ever watched where I'm like, yeah, they weren't lying. And that's not to say that like it. I don't think it really disturbed me so much as it just made me fucking squirm. Like there's scenes in that original movie that are just like really fucking hard to watch.
Yeah.
And it's just, God, I love it so much. I don't know what's wrong with me, guys, but I love this movie so fucking much. It's one of my favorite movies ever. It's so, oh, I love it so much. Anyway, what were you gonna say, Justin? I'm sorry.
The only movies that have made me turn and be like, I need to watch something positive, or I just need to be quiet for like 10 minutes. This one, a Serbian film, and Human Centipede 2.
Oh, I can't wait to watch a Serbian film for this podcast, and only for this podcast.
Fuck.
I don't see that one becoming one of my favorites.
There's no way to like enjoy that movie.
Yeah, I mean, I'll get into why I enjoy this one so much, and it's mainly just because of like where I'm at in my life and what I've been through.
This is
But
like the torture and shit just made me think. Is this like hell? Fuck, I can't talk.
that's what
I
Martyrs
kept
does to you.
I kept thinking of like Hellraiser because the torture just made me keep thinking of that movie for some reason. But then I like said to myself, so is this Hellraiser just turned into like a gigantic art piece?
I could see it. Apparently, it's directed by I can never pronounce his name. Pascal Lahier. I'm gonna assume is how you say that. He said he wrote it when he was like borderline suicidal, and you can tell.
Yeah.
You can tell. But that might be because why it resonates. I mean, I'll get into all that stuff. It probably resonates with me so much because I've dealt with depression, and me being me, the stuff I've been through in my life. I like to be reminded that I'm human and that I'm alive. So I like subjecting myself to things that make me feel not great. Because as a human being, I think every emotion that we have serves a purpose, including, sorrow and disgust and emptiness. So I want to feel the full range of emotions while I'm alive, and that's kind of why I put myself through these movies, because I want to experience that, But in a controlled setting, obviously. It's not like I'm going to go, kill somebody and then feel that. I want to do it in a controlled setting in a quote-unquote safe way. But I'll get into why I like this movie more. But I think since the remake is just not good, I think I want to do a recap of the plot of the original. And then at the end, we can just shit talk the fucking remake because it's not that good. I had my hopes, but they were not. Was not. Those hopes were not met.
Nope.
At all. It was. You'll see. But anyway, so Martyrs is, like I said, a French movie. Takes place in France. The movie starts in 1971, and it literally begins with a little girl who's clearly been beaten and abused in some way, but the movie goes out of its way to say that she was not raped, which I think is what also sets it apart from a lot of French extremity, because French extremity likes sexual violence for some reason. This movie doesn't really have that at all, and I kind of admire Pascal's restraint for that.
Yeah.
Because it's so easy, because sexual violence is so shocking that if this movie was made just to shock you, I feel like he would have put that in there, but I think he was going for something deeper. But I digress. A little girl was running out of an iron factory or something. And then, the movie cuts to this home movie of basically I guess people at a halfway house or an orphanage or something, talking about this girl whose name is Lucy, and how she wasn't raped, and they show where they found where she took them to show them where she was held captive, and it's just a metal chair. There's chains that caused an infection on her wrist and all this other stuff. And through this home movie, we see that there's this other girl at the orphanage named Anna, who ends up befriending her because she sees that Lucy doesn't have anybody, and she just wants to be there for her. And they kind of have this love between them, and then within one thing I really like is that they're showing the home movie, and at a point, one of the doctors comes and just lifts up the projection screen, which means that it was diegetic, which I think is really cool. And there's a lot of really interesting, transitions and shot compositions in this movie too. That's another thing. It's not just it's just a well-made movie.
It just felt like one whole giant take.
Yeah.
To me.
Yeah.
While I was watching it.
Yeah, and that's awesome. I love stuff like that. As someone that likes the medium of film, I love stuff like that. And then they're in an interview room where authorities are asking Anna about Lucy, because they showed that home video to Anna specifically to kind of get her to talk about it, because they're both kids. And while they're talking, I think Anna hears Lucy scream, right? And then she goes to their room and she finds Lucy like in the bathtub with cuts all over her arms.
No, it's because the doctor said she didn't show up for lunch.
Yeah, she didn't show up for that's right. And then she's like, don't tell anybody, and she's got like cuts all over her arms and stuff. And then we find out what causes that because we get a scene of them at night, and Lucy's like putting a chair in front of the door, and she goes to bed, and then that door still gets kicked open, and Lucy kind of like tries to wake up Anna from her bed, but she can't. Anna's not waking up, and then Lucy, like, I think she like tries to hide under the covers, but then eventually she removes them, and there's just like this fucking figure just in the shadows, and all you can see is her eyes just looking at Lucy, and then she kind of like screams and jumps at her with no musical sting, by the way, which is great. I love that because I fucking hate it. It's already scary enough that this fucking thing is screaming at me. I don't need a bong. I don't need that shit. I know I've said that before, but I don't need that. And then we get the title card, Martyrs. Then it flash forwards 15 years, and we get we get a scene of a young girl running, and we have a POV of somebody chasing her, and they're like in a house, and you hear his breathing. It's very like Friday the 13th, very like Halloween type shit. And then this girl gets tackled by her assailant. And then you find out that they're brother and sister, just joking around.
Yeah.
We get a very jarring shift in tone here, where it's just an idyllic family, just mother, father, daughter, son, and we spend a pretty decent amount of time with them. Not like I don't think no more than like 5 minutes, but it's enough to like know who they are. Yeah. And I'm saying this now because this is going to come back when I talk about the remake.
The mom's a bitch.
But the mom's kind of a bitch, yeah, for reasons we'll get into later on as well. But you get enough time with them to kind of see that, oh, okay, this is the dynamic of the family, and the movie almost sets you up to like think that the movie's going to be about this now. And that's one thing I love about this movie too, is that it sets up so much just to kind of like pull the rug from under you and bring you back to reality. And I love that. Because it's not really so much subverting expectations as it is just like kind of playing with your expectations, rather. Because I don't think it does it in a way to subvert it so much as it's like, oh, what do you think's going to happen?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So we get a good idea of who this family is. Like the son's like a dropout, or like he graduated from like a private school, and he's trying to figure out what he wants to do with his life. And the daughter's just kind of a smart aleck.
She's a good swimmer.
And a good swimmer, yeah, because there's a newspaper clipping that says she won like some kind of swimming competition. The dad's just kind of there, if I'm being honest, but he's a dad. And then the mom's like trying to fix like a water blockage. And she finds a little rat in the pipe and jokes around with her family about it. So you get these characters that are very well developed for 5 minutes. I think it's even less than 5 minutes that they're on screen, and they already feel very real, as characters. Then the doorbell rings. So the doorbell rings, and the dad's like, I'll go check it out. And he opens the door.
And Lucy starts blasting.
He has a look of surprise on his face. He just gets fucking blown away by a shotgun, and it is Lucy who's killing him. You don't know why yet, but Lucy kills him, and then she goes into the house. The mother tries to run away. She shoots the mother. The daughter runs away to another room, and the son just kind of is trying to get out, and Lucy tells him to sit down. And she asks him, like, how old are you? And he's like, I'm 18. At least that's what my subtitle said.
Yeah.
And then she's like, you know what your parents did? And he just shrugs. And she has this moment where she kind of like wrestles with it, but she doesn't want to do what she has to do. And then she just fucking shoots him and kills him on camera, blows the fuck out of him. And then she goes to try to find the daughter. She finds the daughter, who is hiding under a mattress. So she gets on top of the mattress, and you could tell she doesn't want to do this, but she shoots through the mattress, the daughter runs out of the room, and then she tags her in the hallway, and that's it. And then we get a very depressing scene of Lucy crying and moving the mom and what why did you do this to me? How could you do that? Like why did you hurt me and all this other shit? I'm just like, what is happening? Like the first time I was like, what is this shit? But then we cut to Anna, who's eating a sandwich. She's eating a little Subway sandwich, and she's
they're in France, so she's probably eating like a scone or something.
it looked like a sandwich.
Or
I don't know.
A bagel. I don't know.
A baguette. Who the fuck knows?
Yeah.
But anyway, she's eating. And then she's like by a payphone. The payphone rings. It's very funny that she throws away the entire meal.
Yeah, she just dropped it.
And then she goes and answers the phone, and Lucy's like, "Yeah, I found them." And Anna's like, "You did?" And then she's like, "I should have come along," and all this other stuff. And she's like, and she asks her something like, "Should we call the cops?" And she's like, "There's no need. I did what I had to do." And Anna's like, "Give me the address." And then she's like, Lucy's like borderline hysterical on the other end, and she's like, "Just give me the address." She gets the address, and then we go back to Lucy at the house, and she's kind of like almost in like a fugue state where she's like just kind of not really relaxed, but she's not really like tense or anything either. And she's like looking at the blood on her hands, and she's just almost like she's a child, right? Mm-hmm. And then she hears something. And this is where we get our first like real look at what's been tormenting her. It's just this like naked woman with scars all over her and shit, and she's like, all beat up. And I think she gets like a razor, right?
A piece of glass first.
A piece of glass.
Then she gets the razor out.
And this monster starts cutting her like this. This is like the first instance of where the violence kind of caught me off guard, because the monster like pins her down, and mind you, the music that's playing sounds like it's out of Ninja Gaiden, which is weird, but then she just like digs the razor into her back and just like starts dragging it. It's very, very brutal, and eventually Anna's able to get away. And I think she hides in the closet for a little bit, right?
Lucy, you said Anna.
Whoops. Lucy hides in the closet for a little bit. And I think it's here where she kind of like remembers when she was a child. And, we don't see who's torturing her, but like somebody comes and like tries to feed her slop shit.
Yeah, whatever that green crap was.
And I don't think this is where we get the reveal. I might be thinking of another part, but it flashes back a little bit to like how she was being tortured, and then eventually she runs outside, and like she keeps saying to the monster, like she gets the blood of the family on her hands, and she's like, "I did it." She's like, "I killed them. I even killed their kids.
What else do you want?"
Like, what else do you want? And the screams that the fucking like woman is making is like fucking like I still think about them, man. It's the sound design on that is very well done because it sticks in your head, man. It's like I can't even replicate it. It's just so like it's almost like a groan, like oh my god. But it's but she eventually she runs outside to get away from it, and she runs into Anna, and Anna's like trying to calm her down, like it's me, whatever. And then Anna goes in. Anna's like, I'll go in and look. And Lucy's like, she's in there, and Anna's like, that'll be fine. So then Anna goes in there, and she finds all the bodies, and she's immediately taken aback by it. She's not happy about any of it. She finds the daughter, and she's like, she's not taking it very well. And I think eventually Lucy comes back in, and they have their little conversations or whatever. And Anna's like, we have to bury the bodies and
clean this up,
clean it up and leave, right? So I believe Lucy goes to rest.
Well, first Anna stitches her up.
Yeah, that's right. We get that really weird hard cut from where she's
goes to her trunk to get the medical kit she made.
Yeah. So then she's and like you could tell pretty obviously that Anna will like literally she's a ride or die, right? Um, and she like really cares about Lucy and stuff. So she stitches her up. They start moving the bodies and stuff, and you know,
and does it by herself while Lucy goes to sleep.
yeah. But there's that part too where Anna's they're moving the bodies or whatever, and Anna's like crying about it, and Lucy comes in and she's like she like brings the hand or she like pulls Anna to the woman to the mom, and she's like, "Do you smell that?" She's like, "Do you smell her?" She's like,
Yeah,
"I
yeah.
smelled that every day when she would come and beat me or whatever," and then like Lucy and Anna hug for a bit. Anna misreads the situation and kisses Lucy, and Lucy's kind of like, "What are you doing?" And it's just like so you could tell that like Anna like loves Lucy, and I think that's important to know is that she really like cares about her. It's not just I don't know like she really cares about her. But eventually, yeah, Lucy goes to sleep. And I think this is after she has like another encounter with the monster or whatever, and Anna like has to like break a door down to get to her.
Yeah.
And Lucy like runs into the bedroom, one of the bedrooms, and locks the door. And she's like, I'm sorry. She's like she's like apologizing and screaming what did I do? And then I think this is when it goes to Lucy as a child again getting fed that green shit, that slop. She spits it out at the woman that's feeding it to her. And then so the woman undoes her wrist restraints and like is gonna beat her probably, and but then this stupid woman trips over like
The anchor for
the anchor.
chains.
That's the word I'm looking for. The anchor on the floor like twists her ankle, and Lucy's like, okay. Well, I'm leaving. Fuck this. But then she hears screaming. So then despite the woman telling her don't go in there. Lucy goes in and looks, and she sees the woman that's been tormenting her in the chair, and she's like reaching out and like begging, like help me, right? And Lucy, just runs, and then it cuts back to modern day Lucy, and she's just like, I'm sorry. She's like, I'm sorry. So then basically this ghost thing that she's seeing is a manifestation of her guilt and her trauma. So while Lucy's sleeping after this, Anna is, moving bodies to an open, just like a hole in the ground.
That's where the mom was.
Where the mom was working on the pipe. Yeah.
The pipe.
Justin keeps sneezing, but I ain't saying bless you.
Oh.
It wouldn't be effective anyway with that pentagram tattoo. Anyway, so Anna, she goes back into the bathroom to like wash up a bit. And then in the reflection of the mirror, she sees the mother kind of stir. And the mother has like the body of her daughter on top of her. And I'm just like, oh my God. And she's like screaming and she's like, help me, get me out of here. And Lucy wakes up. And Lucy like starts asking for Anna, and Lucy's just like, or Anna's just like, no. She's like, I got it. She's like, just go. She's like, go rest, go get dressed. We're gonna leave after this. And so then, what ends up happening? Because this part's really rough. What ends up happening is Anna tries to. There's some other stuff that happens, but then Anna tries to take the mom out of the house, and. Lucy comes and just,
She's like, it's hammer time.
She just caves the mother's head in with a fucking hammer. And it is, again, the sounds, they stick with you. Those sounds stick with you. So then what ends up happening is Lucy, at this point, Anna, I think, kind of is just like she wasn't like gonna like help her. She was just like, hey, once I get you to the woods, you're on your own. Like I'm not, whatever. But either way, Lucy kills her, and then and then Lucy like gets really mad, and she's like, you never believed me. You're just like all the doctors that said I was crazy and blah 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 blah. And then after her little rampage, where she's like breaking shit and stuff, she sees the girl again, and there's almost like this somber, I guess, air. in the room, and yeah, so she like, because she says like, it's over and I'm never gonna be free of it, whatever.
Yep.
So she sees this the woman, like Lucy embraces the the woman that she left and apologizes or whatever. Oh, and then the woman just decides to slit her wrists from the long way.
Yeah, from the top down.
And from the top down, and it's very, very explicit. And what Lucy's seeing is the woman with a razor blade. What Anna's seeing is Lucy using like
Doing it to herself.
her switchblade razor to do it to herself. Yeah, and then she starts banging her head against the wall, and Anna tries to like, shake her out of it, but Lucy runs through a window, and then she gets up, and Anna's like going to like running to try to stop her, and Lucy slits her own throat, and she dies. And she falls as Anna gets to her and grabs her.
Yep.
And it's really hard to watch because it's just like Anna's just like fucking devastated. Oh my god! But she takes Lucy and like cleans her body up and like wraps her up and then like goes to sleep next to her. She wakes up the next morning and calls her mom. And you could tell they didn't have a great relationship, and her mom like mentions like, you're still with that girl, aren't you? Like she's bad, and she's a bad influence and all this other shit. And this is important because Anna hears like a hammer fall off of like it was like on like a dresser, kind of, and it falls through the glass of the dresser like into like something behind it. So Anna just immediately stops giving a fuck about her mom and puts the phone down. And I think the only reason Anna really called her mom was because she just wanted somebody to talk to. Like, if she's been with Lucy for 15 years, that's gotta suck. But she leaves the phone off the hook, and that's important. So Anna goes behind this dresser and finds a stairway that leads down to a hallway. A very clinically lit, almost like a hospital type hallway. But on the walls are these pictures of like these people that have been like, that have suffered, and they all have like the same kind of expression on their face of their eyes looking up. So Anna keeps going down. She eventually finds a trapdoor with a ladder, and she goes down there, and then she finds a woman who has been through a lot. This woman has like an iron like thing on her head that's obstructing her vision.
Think like if you've played Soul Calibur 2, what Valdo wears on his head.
Yeah,
just like straps and shit.
It's the forbidden Oculus Rift. It's not a good thing to have on your face. And then she's got like barbed wire wrapped around her torso. She's got like a metal, underwear pretty much.
Yeah.
So Anna frees this woman and takes her upstairs and puts her in the bath and basically to try to help her. She gets the forbidden Oculus Rift is bolted into her skull on the top of her head.
It's like stapled.
Yeah, like very heavy duty staples.
With giant ass staples.
So Anna,
she gets a screwdriver.
Anna takes a fucking flathead screwdriver and just pries that shit off, staple by staple. And then, and then when she removes the thing, like part of her fucking face like peels off with it
because it's stuck to it.
Ugh, God, like that was one of the moments where I was like, "Oh, that's not good." I was like, "Yeah, I don't like that. I don't like that." Like the whole prying sequence and everything, I was just like, "Whew, that's rough. That is a rough thing to watch." But then she kind of like puts a wet towel over her face and lets her rest. And then Anna like goes to sleep again pretty much. And then she wakes up to the woman screaming. And the woman is in one of the bedrooms with a knife fucking peeling the skin off of her forearm.
Yeah.
And it's like bunched up at the wrist. God, it so fucks me up so bad. I was just like, ooh, God damn it. This movie's fucking with me, man. and then like she's very clearly like trying to like just get something off of her.
Yeah.
And then she like goes into the hallway and like starts like rubbing her face against like
The wall.
the wall. And Anna keeps trying to stop her, and she keeps pushing Anna off. Then out of nowhere, just a fucking bullet goes through her head and kills her. The woman, not Anna. And then these people all dressed in black come in, and they start asking Anna questions like, what happened here? You know, this shouldn't have happened. Like, what happened? And they find Lucy's body, and you know, all that stuff. And one of the guys is like, yeah, the phone was off the hook. And she's like, yeah, we knew something was wrong because y'all weren't, you know, nobody was picking up. And then they take, oh my God, then these people take Anna to the hallway that she was at before and like handcuff her. And then they throw everybody into that pit where the other bodies were.
And bury him.
Including Lucy, it's really fucked up that Lucy goes through all that just to be buried with the people that tortured her, or at least one of the people that tortured her. And they bury it, yeah. And from there, we get this old woman who I think at this point we're like a little over an hour into the movie, and she's third billing. And we get this old woman who is only really referred to as Mademoiselle, who comes in and meets with Anna and basically starts talking to her about like what they're doing. Like, oh yeah, Lucy ran away from us 15 years ago, and then she hunted down these people. That takes dedication. And she basically talks about how their whole goal is because no one, the word she uses is no one envisages suffering anymore, which I think means nobody ever really like. I looked it up one time because I'm a stupid man and I don't know what envisage means, but I looked up the definition one time, and it means like nobody sees it as desirable anymore. Because, you know, I don't know what the fuck that means. I don't know why you would want suffering to be desirable. But, you know, what do I know? I'm not a French woman. She's like, yeah, nobody, like, envisages suffering anymore. And, you know, but when you isolate somebody, they start to see things. That woman that you found that was upstairs that you rescued, you saw a bunch of bugs crawling on her at all times. And she's like, and that's because of the isolation that she was under, and she would rather cut her skin off than bear it.
Yep.
And she's like, did Lucy see anything? And she's like, yeah, like a girl. And she's like, oh, okay. And she's like, yeah, see, because Lucy was a victim. You know, martyrs are rare. And then she talks about how a martyr is somebody that can basically push through all the suffering. And at the end of it, their quote-unquote, I guess, reward is that they're in a state of ecstasy where they see the other side. So their whole mission as a society, as a group, is basically to torture people to the point where they get to that. And they've had like nothing but victims, but torture them to the point where they get to a martyr that can tell them what's on the other side, right?
Yep.
I remember I bought this movie in Austin from Waterloo Records, and I came home, and Mom asked me what it was about. So I already knew what it was about. I hadn't seen it, but I knew about it. And I told her what it was about, and she was like, Jake, that's horrible. Why would you watch that? And I'm like, you wouldn't get it, Mom. I don't know why I would watch it either, but I love it. Like, I don't know. Anyway, so then they put Anna in basically in the cell where she found the other girl. And, the next...
Proceed to show her suffering.
The next 20 to 30 minutes is just Anna suffering. And there's a reason the audience is put through it, is so that way you can kind of, you know, understand, I guess. But you know, there's a lot they like, and it's not just like physical torture, it's like psychological torture too. Like they cut her hair, that very roughly cut her hair. They beat her. The guy that beats her will like give her instances to fight back just so he can beat her more.
Yeah.
He'll beat her to the point of unconsciousness, slap her to wake her up, and then just beat her more. And then, like, they feed her this fucking slop. They make her relieve herself out of a hole in her chair. Like, it's just, like... And they give her sponge baths in, like, at the middle of the night when she's trying to sleep. and it's with cold water, I'm pretty sure. And there's like, and it's shot initially. It's shot like where you can see Anna's reaction, and then it's shot from a behind the back perspective where you don't really see how she's feeling about it. It's very hard to watch, but she's tortured for a while. And there's a moment when she's being tortured where she kind of reminisces about a conversation that she had with Lucy, where Lucy asks her why she's never scared, and Anna's like, "Well, I'm scared sometimes." And Lucy's like, "Well, how do you do that?" And she's like, "I don't know, you just let go, I guess." And then Anna's like, or Lucy's like, "So if I can't just let go, will you be there for me?" And Anna's like, "Yeah, of course I'll be there for you." And then like she says that to herself that she misses Lucy. Very depressing, very sad.
Yeah.
But basically at this point, I think Anna kind of lets go.
Yeah.
And she just takes the beatings,
Eats
and
without spitting it out.
And then she like fucking, her face is like,
her nose is destroyed.
Her face is like fucked up by the point we get to the last bit, which is where this woman comes in and like almost slightly caresses her, and she's like, "Your suffering's almost over. You're entering the final stage now." So then the final stage is there's the other guy in the house is a doctor, and he I guess so he like takes her and puts her in this contraption, and you don't see what he's doing right away, but he like cuts all of her clothes off and shit, and then he grabs some scissors, and you hear him start cutting, and you see Anna's reaction. And it is not a pleasant one. So then we get a scene.
It's just not what you expected to happen.
And then we get a scene where, like, it cuts to a scene of Anna with a healed face, but she's like wrapped in like a shroud. Now, this guy puts her basically in these restraints on her wrists, and then like just removes the wheelchair from under her, and she like just kind of hangs there. She's skinned everywhere except her face. It looks a little weird, but it's practical, so I appreciate that. It doesn't look fucking stupid because it's digital. It's practical, so it looks a little goofy, but like it's still effective because it looks gross. Now, when I first saw this movie, this is like the 4th or 5th time I've watched this movie, but when I first saw this movie, I was like, damn, how did her face heal so fast? And then, and that was like what I rode with the first time I watched it. The second time I watched it, it dawned on me that her face healed normally, and they just did it over a period of time, which makes it even worse. And I was just like, holy shit, this fucking movie. So, then we get a very long tracking shot of the guy, like, cleaning himself up, taking a shower, and he goes upstairs, and meanwhile his wife or whatever the fuck is like making the green shit, and she's gonna go down presumably to feed Anna, and Michel is the name of the guy, and he's like cleaning off a blood stain that he forgot to clean when he was in the shower because he's a big dumb dude, and then he hears the girl scream, and she's like, Michel. And he's like, what? And then she just kind of holds him. And then it cuts to her on the phone with Mademoiselle telling her, like, yeah, it's like, I've never seen that expression before. She's still alive. Like, you need to get here now. So Mademoiselle comes, fucking giddy as a fucking schoolgirl, this fucking evil bitch, just super giddy. Yep. And she goes downstairs to hear what Anna has to say, and Anna's being like kept in this like tank. Well, before that, you see Anna's expression, and she's like looking up, and the camera like zooms into her eye, and you see it's like these clouds, and you hear like these voices, and there's this bright light in the middle of it, and then it zooms back out, and you see kind of Anna's expression, and then there's like a really pitched down crying baby that starts, and then it's hard cut. And then that's when Mademoiselle shows up, giddy as a fucking schoolgirl, and she goes to see what Anna says, and she leans over, and Anna starts whispering in her ear. You don't know what Anna tells her, and I don't think it's important, but we'll discuss it here in a little bit. But then all these other people from, I guess, the group show up, and you know, there's this dude that's like happily talking about how, like, yeah, Anna, you know, she's the fourth person to achieve martyrdom in our 17 years of doing this, and she's also the first one that's remained alive and that can relate what she saw to Mademoiselle and all this other shit. And everybody's like, yo, what the fuck? And everybody's like not losing their minds, but they're like excited to hear what's on the other side.
Yeah.
So then this guy goes to the bathroom where Mademoiselle's getting ready, and she's like taking off her makeup and stuff. And she, you know, the guy asks her, so is there something after death? And she's like, of course. And he's like, I knew it. And he's like, was it perfectly clear? And I don't remember. She says something. It's like it left no room for interpretation or something like that. And then she kind of just sits down, and then she's like, can you imagine a life after death? And the guy asks her, like, are you okay? And she's like, can you imagine it? And he's like, no. And then while she's talking to him, she's pulling a gun out of her purse, and she says, keep doubting, and then puts the gun in her mouth and pulls the trigger. And then we get an intercut where it shows the definition of martyr, and it's derived from like Greek, Martyrs, I think, and which means witness. And then the last shot of the movie is just zooming in on Anna, still alive in the tank, you know, probably in her final moments. And then it goes to the credits, and during the credits, it's just a film reel of her and Lucy as children. And I think the first time I watched it, I just kind of sat and looked at my screen for a while, and I was just kind of like, yeah. And then I think I watched it again. I think I watched it again the next day because there's not a lot of movies. Like my favorite movies, I'll watch like twice.
Yeah.
Because immediately I'll want to watch them again. And this was one of those instances where Justin keeps sneezing. But this was also one of those instances where I just had to sit there and like just kind of like contemplate what I saw. So I'm gonna say what I think first, and then I'll let Justin say what he thinks. But what I think is, so I've gone through multiple variations of what the ending is in my head. So my initial thought was, okay, maybe she liked what she heard and wanted to go there right away, right? But I was like, but then why would she say keep doubting? Like that doesn't make sense. And I was like, maybe it's because there's nothing there, right? And then I was like, no, but I'm like, maybe, but like, I don't know. But then I thought about it, and I thought about how if you're Mademoiselle, you have spent 17 years trying to find this answer. And in that 17 years or so, you've probably had your own idea of what it is. And you've probably, and it's something so, you know, grandiose at this point that any answer you get will not match that.
Yep.
So what I think is that Anna told her what she saw, and it could have been just her brain doing what it was doing to ease her into death. It could have been a legitimate sighting of God. It could have been a legitimate sighting of heaven, hell, any of that. But it was underwhelming to Mademoiselle, because to Mademoiselle, she has, like, you don't do something like that and not have an idea of what's on the other side. It's like, you know, like day-to-day things in real life. If let's say you're waiting for like a movie or a game or maybe a job, you know, and you're like, oh, this new job's going to change my life. And then you do that job and it's like, oh, this is it?
Yeah.
Like, this is all it is, you know? And I think that's what it was. And then that's why she explicitly asks him, can you imagine it? And he's like, no. And that's why she tells him to keep doubting, because the second you imagine it, once you know the truth, there's no point. You know, it's all for nothing at that point, because it's never going to match up to what your idea of it is. And that's the reasoning I went with. Also, for me, now this is it's no secret this is a nihilistic movie. It very much is. But when I watched it, it kind of reaffirmed how I feel about life. So, you know, I'm going to get real here for a little bit. Justin's
Get
asleep.
real. I'm not asleep.
Justin's asleep. He's closing his eyes. I see him. He's like fucking Joe Biden over
No.
here. Stop fucking. Anyway, so I'm gonna get real here for a second. So I've struggled with depression. My grandfather died in 2012. It's been 12 years, almost. It'll be 12 years on April 7th since my grandfather's died, and that affected me. And I didn't know what it was at the time, but it affected me so much. And I became depressed for about, a good 7 years. And I didn't know what it was. I would just distance myself from my friends, and then I'd come back to them. But I would always, any relationship I would try to have, like romantically, would just fail because I'd get like bored. And I would just like want to like cut off whatever it was, and now I can see that it was depression, now going through therapy and stuff, but it all culminated to a point where I almost killed myself, as you do when that depression kind of runs rampant, because I was rejecting therapy, I was rejecting help, and I almost killed myself. I was able to snap myself out of it, and I remember waking up the next day. I still remember the day. It was March 8th, 2019, that I was going to do it. I didn't, for reasons that I'm going to keep to myself for now. But I remember waking up the next day feeling great. Like, feeling like alive for the first time in a long fucking time. And I told myself from that day forward, okay, I'm just gonna live now. Like I wanna go out. I wanna meet new people. I wanna do whatever I can because I'm alive, and I wanna feel all these emotions that are part of what make me human and all this other shit. So for me, Martyrs kind of reaffirmed that way of thinking for me, because it's like, okay, if something's, because like Anna obviously lets go and kind of recognizes that it's going to pass. And that's similar to how I deal with depression, is when I get into a depressive spell, because it for me anyway, I think it's different for everybody. For me, it hasn't gone away. It's just more I know how to live with it now, because I've had some close calls since 2019. But, it passes. Everything passes. And I think that's the thing is like, with me, it's like, okay, well, if I was in a situation where I had like a terminal illness or something, I think I would just accept it, because that's just how life is sometimes. Yeah. Life can be fucking cruel. Just like the people that were torturing Anna, life can be fucking cruel. And sometimes you just have to accept that and let go. And that's how I deal with depression and stuff. But more so, it's the idea that like, okay, if there is nothing on the other side, that's fine. That just means I'm going to make the life that I have now matter to me, and that's what I'm going to do. Yep. And that's how, and so I don't view the ending as hopeful or anything, but because it is very nihilistic, it is very much a downer of a fucking ending, but it made me realize that the way I'm living my life is probably the best way I could live it right now, which is, to live every day, doing as much as I can, being the best version of myself, and not worrying about whether there's something on the other side, because, if there isn't, I'm going to be disappointed. Yeah. If I want there to be something, and that's not what's important anyway. What's important is what I do with my life while I have it right now, and and Anna lived the life she wanted to live. She spent it with Lucy, a person that she loved dearly, and I think Justin brought up something interesting when he was talking about how he thinks that. Well, I'll just let him talk about what he thinks. But yeah, it's very I don't know. This movie just means a lot to me because of that. It's just, I don't know. It affected me in such a way, and to this day, every time I watch it, it still gets the same reaction out of me. And not a lot of movies can do that, where they still feel like fresh every time I'm watching them. You know what I mean? Yeah. So. But anyway, I'm going to hand it over to Justin now. What do you think, buddy? What do you think, huh?
Well, like I told you yesterday after I finished it, my assumption was that Mademoiselle, whatever, obviously she didn't get the answer she wanted. But I mean, me, I just chose the obvious. Okay, maybe she just told her that there is nothing there, or she just told her some shit. It's like it's whatever you want it to be, or what it's something like that.
Mm-hmm.
The point is, like you said, she didn't get the answer she wanted. So all every meaning to her life and everything she was doing to that point didn't matter. That's why she killed herself.
Yeah, exactly. But you also brought up the interesting thing about how you think that what Anna saw was just the memories of her and Lucy.
Yeah,
And I realized, oh fuck, that might be what the ending's trying to get across with that, like
the film reel.
with the film reel of her and Lucy.
She just let go and went to her happy place.
Yeah, which I mean, I'm gonna be. This is gonna be kind of a funny comparison, but like it really reminded me of the BoJack Horseman episode, "The View from Halfway Down," where spoilers, BoJack Horseman tries to kill himself, and he kind of like gets transported to this what he thinks is like an afterlife, where he's kind of like meeting with people that he either idolized or he wronged in some way. And there's a point where one of the characters tells him, like, there's nothing, buddy. He's like, there's nothing after this. He's like, your brain's just doing what it has to do to ease you into it.
Yeah.
And, if that's, and, I've read about, like, hey, George, calm down, little buddy. I've read about, like, people that will, like, in their final moments, there's a bunch of brain activity, and that's what people think it is it's like, oh, it's your brain kind of, like, DMT gets released in your brain, and that kind of eases you into death. And as you get closer to death, and, your brain, I think, just starts kind of doing its thing. Like, like my grandfather would say that he saw, like, his own father and stuff like that when he was getting close. And, I've had other family members say that they've seen my grandfather, and there's a part of me. I'm not gonna say there isn't a part of me that hopes that maybe one day, I'll be like reunited with my grandfather and all the people that I'm gonna lose in my life in some capacity. But I can't let that define my life. You know what I mean? I can't, like, yeah, it'll be great if that happens, but if it doesn't, then am I going to be like I remember talking to one friend, and he's like, yeah, it just terrifies me that there's nothing, that there might not be anything after this. And I'm like, yeah, but you're not going to care because you're going to be dead. Like there will be no consciousness to be disappointed.
That's what always bothered me about religion. It's like,
because you will be dead.
They just make such they just have, like, in their head such a defined answer of what's after, and it's like, okay, well, what if it's
what if
not?
there isn't? Like
you spent all your time, and because I saw a video clip of this old guy who was sick, going through some shit, but he had, like, devoted his entire life to God and all this shit and all that, and he almost went, and when he came back, he's like, there's nothing.
Yeah.
Like, I wasted my life.
There's a after Phil Anselmo from Pantera OD'd, he wrote one of his songs where he said, I've seen the end and there is no light, and I'm just like, yeah.
And it's like, it's not to put down what you want to believe is the end, but, like, for me, I just can't realistically sit there and think that there's a defined ending.
Yeah, I'm not, like, we're not saying that, like, you're stupid if you believe in God or anything. Like, I love my mom, and my mom believes in what she believes in, and I'm never going to tell her that she's wrong, because that's what works for her. That's what helps her.
If it gets you through life,
that's what helps her live a life that she thinks is worth living, and that's okay. Like, I'm not gonna tell her, Mom, I think you're wrong. I think you're just gonna die and be in a black. I'm not gonna tell her that. Like, I'm just gonna say, okay. I'm like, and great thing about my mom is she never tried to push that on me. She let me make my own decisions, and at this point in my life, I decided I'm going to live for me. So for me, it's more of I can't see myself living for an entity that may or may not exist. Yeah. Now, I think that there's some kind of, I would like to think that there's some kind of, like, spiritual aspect to our lives, but I obviously am not going to know about that until I die. And again, I'm not going to let that define my existence now. I'm not going to follow a bunch of arbitrary rules that might prevent me from living the life I want to live, just in case, like, I'm not going to do that. And if I'm going to go to hell because I'm gay, well, so what? Like, I don't, like, if that's the end anyway, because I sucked a dick or whatever. If that's the end anyway, where I'm just gonna go to hell, then why the fuck am I even gonna follow the doctrine? Like, I don't know. It's just I don't know. But this movie kind of like put that into perspective for me and kind of make me go, oh, I think I'm living the way I'm supposed to be living. Then, I think I'm supposed to be living this way, as if
It's like they'll ask you, "Oh, is something missing in your life?" And it's like, no. I feel perfectly fine with what I have,
and I don't need. And that's another thing that I hear from some of the more religious people that I've known in my life is like, well, you can't be, you can't have a moral compass without religion. And I'm like, no, I can. I'm like, even before I knew God existed, if I saw something get hurt, I would feel bad. That is just like a natural human emotion to have. Like, sorrow isn't something that. It's a chemical in our brain. You know what I mean? Like, that's just a natural thing to have. And that doesn't mean that, like, because, like, the other side of this is you'll get some atheists that are like, oh, love is just a chemical in your brain. Stop treating it like it. Like, fuck that. No. Love can be whatever you want it to be. Just because it's a chemical in your brain doesn't mean that it still can't be something significant. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that's where you go too far with it, I think, where people are just like, oh, we're just fucking animals. Are we? Do animals fucking build houses? Like, what the fuck are you on, dude? Are animals capable of complex thought? I don't think so. Like there's that's a type of nihilism that I think is detrimental. Whereas the type of nihilism that I think that I kind of follow is like, well, yeah, if there's nothing, then that's okay because I'm gonna make what I have matter. You know what I mean? But then there's the dread, the doomer nihilism where it's like, oh, we're just life means fucking nothing, man. And it's just like, yeah. So what are you going to do about it? Like, what are you going to do with that information? Are you going to let it destroy you? Or are you going to use it as as like a catapult to push you forward in your life and do something with it and make a meaningful impact that you're proud of, And I think all that's very important. And it's all stuff that is not in the remake at all.
Yeah.
None of this shit is in the fucking remake. God damn it. Anyway, so the remake is basically the same thing. The only significant difference, or one of the more significant differences, is that Lucy doesn't die, so the ghost girl just stops bothering her at some point. I guess it's because she tried to kill herself because she like throws herself off the banister, but it's still, the acting's not that great. The girl that played Anna just was not built for it. I'm sorry. She just wasn't made for it. And
they give no shit about making the characters connected or feel like they're really doing this for each other.
Yeah, but I think that was intentional because in the there's like a 5-minute featurette on the Blu-ray, and like the girl that plays Anna mentions that her and Lucy are separated for years. And Lucy just calls her out of the blue while she's like in college. And I'm like, that's not communicated in any fucking way at all in the movie. That is not communicated even in the slightest. The other thing is that it focuses more on physical torture than psychological torture, which I think kind of defeats the purpose of what they're trying to do. It also adds more Christian undertones to what the group is trying to do, which might just be an American thing. Also, the family at the beginning, they're alive for like 2 seconds. You barely, like, the reason it's so effective in the original is because you get a good amount of time with them to know who they are and their dynamics. And this one, it's just kind of like they recycle some dialogue from the original and then the doorbell rings. And then it's just like, wow, already? Like, I remember when I was watching, I was like, damn, already? And then that's where it went. And yeah, it just felt not soulless, I guess is the right word.
It just felt like watching Hostel.
Yeah, because there's like one very explicit scene of Lucy getting like her back skinned, which again I guess adds to like the Catholic Christian undertones because Catholics during the Crusades used to skin people's backs and pour salt in the wound because they didn't believe in God. Crazy, right? Because, you'd think it was just Muslims that were extremists, huh? Yeah, no, it was Catholics too, buddy. Every religion, if it drives you far enough, you do some crazy shit, brother. But that's what they did. So, and then, like, the ending just feels weird. like at some point in the movie, there's this weird tonal shift where Anna just becomes Lara Croft for like 5 minutes, and she like just starts brutally killing all these people that are like trying to kill Lucy. And she even has like an Arnold Schwarzenegger one-liner at the end. It's so fucking like disrespectful. like that's the only way I can describe it. Like also the dialogue is super fucking ham-fisted. Like there's no subtlety at all. Like in the original, there's like hints that the idea is that you let yourself go to be a martyr, but it's never like explicitly said the way it is, at least not the way it is in the American version, where the old woman character is just like, yeah, you just have to get past the pain and let yourself go, and then you could see God. And it's just like, why are you saying this? Like, do you think I'm stupid? Like, what are you doing? I can figure that out. And then like the fucking, there's like a shitty CGI effect whenever they achieve martyrdom, where like their eyes roll back into their head and it looks like shit. And then, you know, it's the same thing where Lucy becomes a martyr, and then like she tells Anna what she saw, and then, you know, the old woman's like, tell me what she said. And then the priest is just like, well, I heard what she said. And then he kills himself, which is supposed to be, I guess, a reference to what Mademoiselle does in the original, but there's like no purpose behind it. Yeah. Because in the original, Mademoiselle says keep doubt. Like there's a conversation before that gives you a hint as to why she's killing herself. And in this one, the preacher's just like, oh, fucking, I didn't like it. And then he kills himself. And then she's like, and then the old woman's like, what did she say? And then Anna says something like, why don't you find out yourself or something? And I'm just like, what the fuck? What is this? I was like, what the fuck is going on? I don't even remember like what happens in the middle of the fucking movie. Like it's so unmemorable. And I know I'm like getting excited, but it's because I'm mad. Like I was really disappointed because I was hoping, because like even with shit like the fucking Nightmare on Elm Street remake, I could be like, yeah, there was some stuff about that I think could have worked better if there wasn't studio interference. You know, Jackie Earle Haley was pretty cool. You know, like there was shit like that I could appreciate about even that fucking remake that isn't that great. Kyle Gallner's in it. Like there's good things about it. There's like, I can't think of a single fucking redeeming thing about this. Like it feels so far removed from what the original was trying to do and say, and it just drove me crazy. It was a Blumhouse movie, by the way, and Jason Blum has gone on record to say, yeah, we shouldn't have done that. He hated it. Yeah, we should have done that. And then the director of the original one was like, yeah, it was like watching my mom get raped. He's like, I didn't like it. He's like, I watched it for about 20 minutes and I turned it off. He's like, and now my name is forever going to be attached to it. He's like, and that's just terrible. Don't
worry, the original outshines it.
Absolutely.
So you're not attached to anything bad.
Like the original is a very hard movie to watch, but I think it's
worth it if you get through it.
If you can get through it, I think it's a very important movie to watch. But the remake is just not it, man. It feels. I was telling Justin, it feels like how Zack Snyder read Watchmen, and just took the wrong fucking message from it, and then made the movie. But the difference is I like the Watchmen movie. Because I just see it as like a different interpretation of the source material. And yeah, it misses the point completely, but like it's still entertaining, like visually, and the performances are very good. This doesn't have any of that behind it. So it's just like, it just feels like a movie that missed the point, and it feels like a fucking Lifetime movie with how it was shot and lit. It does not look good. Like it looks like it's straight to video, but it was released in theaters, and it looks like a fucking straight to video movie. Like and granted, it made less than $500,000 at the box office, but I looked it up because I'm like, there's no fucking way this came out in theaters. This has to be straight to video. No, I went to theaters, man. Oh my god, what a fucking shame, dude. What a fucking shame. Anyway, yeah, it's got like 9% on Rotten Tomatoes. Nobody liked it.
I can imagine.
Nobody liked it. So at
just
this
like
point,
Madam Web.
At this point, is there anything you want to say about the remake, Justin, before we go to the reviews?
Like even reading about it pissed me off.
Oh, in what way?
Like, Just the way people described it, I'm like, okay, they just did the typical American remake thing. Just took a few bullet points from the original and said that looked cool. Let's do our own version.
Yeah.
But we gotta, because it's America, we gotta heavily imply religious intent in this, and not make it kind of subtle like the original did.
Yeah, because there's like no mention of like any religious.
Yeah, nobody says anything about religion in the other one.
But in this one, there's like a cross.
Yeah,
there's a very obvious like preacher. Like,
I mean, they're trying to see if there's an afterlife, but they never straight up say that specifically.
They never say that it's like we want to know if it's a Christian afterlife.
Yeah.
They're just like we want to know what's on the other side, and that's the thing. Is like that's the other thing that made me interpret the ending the way that I interpreted it too, is because you don't know what Madame Wazel's idea of the afterlife is at all, because she never says like, is there God? She never says any of that. She's just like, we just want to know what's there. So, she's not looking for anything specific. Whereas, in the remake, when the preacher shoots himself, it's like, okay, well, that's because you thought it was going to be a fucking Catholic or Christian. That's stupid.
Like, even the description for the original doesn't even like say anything like about afterlife or anything. It just says, well, like the dangers of getting involved in knowing shit you shouldn't know.
Yeah, and I think the original is very much about like how cruel humans can be to each other when they can justify it. You know what I mean? And again, in the remake, like the violence doesn't feel purposeful. Like the violence serves everything in the original serves a purpose, which is why it's so effective. Everything serves a purpose. The violence serves a purpose. The way that like Anna finds the underground facility serves a purpose. Everything serves a purpose in that movie. In the remake, it just feels like they were going through the motions to get to the bullet points that they wrote down. You know what I mean? And it's not. I don't know, man. And then it just becomes like a fucking typical American like power fantasy at the end of it. And it's just like, that's not what you want from a movie like this. You know, it's like American studios are scared to make like a No Country for Old Men where it doesn't end in a way that you want. You know what I mean? Like it's I'm not saying that isn't done, because obviously there's plenty of movies that end on a downer that are made in America, but
Jeepers Creepers, Drag Me to Hell.
But like this isn't the one. Like this isn't the one where you change that, you know? Like what the fuck? Oh my god. And god, that fucking shitty eye rolling effect. Oh my god. Oh, I've seen better special effects in porn, Justin. That was bad. That was bad, dude. Oh my god. You got anything else to say about the remake?
No, it shouldn't exist.
It really shouldn't, man. It is.
And then because I mentioned those two movies, I remembered also Tusk, and then I'm like, man, Justin Long has not had it good in horror movies.
Yeah, even a Barbarian, dude. Like,
yeah.
Which
I still haven't fucking watched.
He could not catch a break. Yeah, you watch the kill count though, right?
Yeah, I watched.
Okay,
the kill
so
count.
then, yeah, you know how it ends. So, yeah, that's I want that one to come out on home like physical media.
Yeah, they
before
still
we do
haven't
it.
released it physically.
Like that's why I haven't. Because I was thinking about doing that one as a one-off, but I'm like, I want to wait till it like comes out on physical media so I can, because I want to own that one. I fucking love Barbarian. It feels God, it's so good. But yeah, man, it's oh, that remake's bad, dude. Like it bums me out that somebody might be looking for that somebody might be looking for Martyrs and they accidentally stumble across the remake. Like that's what bothers me, because it's just not good. But yeah, apparently when this movie was released in America, it was released directly to DVD. A very heavily edited cut of the film was given an R rating by the MPA for disturbing, severe, aberrant behavior involving strong bloody violence, torture, child abuse, and some nudity. That doesn't even how edited was that? I wonder. Anyway, on Rotten Tomatoes, the original has a 65% out of 65%. A real polarizing movie. This Gallic torture porn is graphic, brutal, nasty, and gruesome, and not to everyone's taste. I would not call it torture porn.
No, it's not.
The remake maybe, but the original I wouldn't call torture porn. I think you'd call it torture porn if you're not if you're watching it from a very surface level kind of way. You know what I mean? Like it seems like torture porn, but it's that's not what it's about.
They have a goal behind why they're doing this.
Yeah, it's like I said, everything's purposeful. It's not like Hostel where Eli Roth just wanted to make like an exploitation movie. And I mean, that's, nothing against Eli Roth for doing that because like, exploitation movies are fun, but it's like that's clearly not what this is. And grouping it into that same torture porn subgenre as something like fucking the Saw sequels just feels kind of disrespectful.
Yeah.
Kind of very disrespectful, actually. So reception, yeah, the remake got a 9% on Rotten Tomatoes, and the consensus says Martyrs flays off everything that gave the original its icy, horrific beauty, leaving us with an empty, pointless remake. That's pretty
accurate.
That's pretty accurate. Now, the rules for the movie we do like. We're gonna read the 1-star reviews. For the movie we don't like, we're gonna read the 10-star reviews. So I can't wait for Jacob John Taylor's return for the Martyrs remake. Can you imagine? I will be so upset with him. I don't even know the man, but I'll be upset with him. Okay, so Martyrs. Let's see. Yep, featured reviews. You do all reviews. A lot more 10-star reviews than 1-star reviews. So that's very good. That's not going to stop it, Justin. So very good. It's rated at a 7 out of 10 on IMDb. Again, pretty healthy amount of 10-star reviews. Not a lot of 1-star reviews, but people probably don't like it. Extreme but feels pointless. Beard of Serpico. That's a good name, actually. That's a very good name. Hey, George, what are you doing, buddy? Oh, you cleaning yourself. Martyrs is a French horror movie, which is part of the new wave of French extremity, which means it's extremely dark, gory, and disturbing. You're not supposed to have a good time watching this movie, and I know that's the point, but the whole thing just felt so shallow and pointless to me. The second half of the movie is pretty much a woman being beaten to within an inch of her life and tortured. No story, interesting dialogue, or characters, just a girl being punched, kicked, and mutilated over and over again. All of this torture is for zero payoff. The ending is one of the dumbest things I've ever seen, and it actually made me mad watching it. I have no problem with movie gore and violence. A lot of my favorite movies are violent, but this was just garbage. There are actually a lot of people who consider this to be a good movie. This is the kind of guy that watches No Country for Old Men and doesn't like how it ends. Like that's this person.
But he applauds Wrong Turn.
He might.
I mean, I do, but
he might. But you're not Beard of Serpico, though.
Yeah.
But
and I don't think this movie was stupid.
No. I mean, again, I can see I can understand the complaints of people saying the second half is just Anna getting tortured. I get it, and I know that may not be something you want to watch. Like, I get that, but like, I don't know. I felt like there was a payoff, because you get to see the fucking evil ass bitch behind everything die. Like, isn't that what you'd want?
Yeah.
Like, but I guess it's how she dies that might be underwhelming. Maybe. I don't know. But again, like we talked about, it feels purposeful. Like, it doesn't feel like it's happening just to happen. At least it doesn't feel that way to me. Because I think I read like an article or like an essay where somebody said like, yeah, the movie puts you through its paces for a very specific reason, because it wants you to understand, what she's going through, instead of it just like being shown in like quick, edits or anything. They want you to really feel what's happening, which is like, again, like the point of like, I feel like this is a common response for anything like that, where it like really tries to like make you like feel like shit. Or like empathize with something terrible.
I mean,
like,
that's the first thing I told you after the movie ended.
Yeah, it made me feel like shit.
But
like, that's the point. But again, it's what you take away from feeling that way that's important. I think it's kind of like funny games, where people are like, "Wow, the movie just thinks I'm a piece of shit." And I'm like, if that's what you want to think, I'm like, all the movie's doing is asking you a question, dude. That's all it's doing.
Yeah.
So, that's super fun. It's like people that played Spec Ops: The Line and got mad. People that played The Last of Us Part 2 and got mad, which, again, I get it. You don't want to be a fucking murderous lesbian, fine. But, like, that's the point. Like, I don't know. It's not your cup of tea. That's okay. A sick, deranged movie that attempts to be meaningful and fails. This is a sick and deranged movie done by sick and deranged people for sick and deranged people. The movie's storyline is weak and does not follow the traditional arc that hooks you in and makes you want to keep watching. Hey, buddy, you know what? That might be the point. Making it boring and seemingly pointless to keep watching. I actually stopped it because I lost my interest halfway and then started again the next day. His movie is brutal and gross and attempts to have some sort of substance and meaning to it, but to me it seems stupid and like it is really just a flimsy cover-up for what the film really is, which is just a torture film. It's only like half the movie, though. Very poorly done, and it is only getting such good reviews because there are tons of people who are fans of Gore and Gore alone and don't even need a good story surrounding it. I am very disappointed that I wasted my time with this one. There isn't even like a lot of explicit gore in this.
Yeah, it's not. You get the shotgun, and then Lucy's injuries. But then when you realize they're self-inflicted, you understand better.
And also, Anna doesn't really like. They're acting like Anna gets like fucking hostiled.
Yeah,
she's
doesn't. Just getting punched.
Like I mean,
not that that's a fun thing to happen.
And the most terrible thing that happens to her, you don't even see happen.
Yeah.
Like that's the other thing. And then the making it boring and seemingly pointless to keep watching it because it doesn't have a traditional arc. Like, yeah, dude, that's. But this guy just sounds like one of those like people that
it's like
got mad at their kids for playing GTA or something.
It's like, did Human Centipede have a point? No.
No, I don't think.
I mean, maybe the first one because you get behind the story of the doctor or whatever, but the second one, like, there's no point in that one but to be disgusting.
It's like or it's like a Serbian film. Now that's flimsy where the fucking director was like, "Oh, actually it's about like Serbian people fighting for freedom." And it's like, "Dude, is that it? Just admit you wanted to make like a gross fucking movie for gross people." Like that's fine. If you had led with that, I would have been like, "Oh, I know what I'm getting into," you know? Cuz like I mean, we talk about how much we love like gory practical effects and shit, but that's obviously not what this movie is. This movie is not like on the same level as something like, I don't know, Reanimator for me, where I love Reanimator because it's disgusting, you know, or From Beyond because it's disgusting. I like it because there's something behind the violence, you know what I mean?
I feel like some people would also like read the description because the description of the movie just says two girls go on a quest to get vengeance for the people who tortured them.
It's very vague on purpose,
yeah. They'll read that and think, okay, this is just like I Spit on Your Grave or something.
No. I Spit on Your Grave is an exploitation film.
Yeah.
And a rape revenge exploitation film at that. There's not even any rape in this, and it's okay. The only thing worse than torture porn is pretentious torture porn. Then watch Irreversible, brother. that's pretentious torture porn. Really, this film adds nothing valuable, or shit, Trouble Every Day. The real philosophical issue could have been presented in less than 10 minutes. The rest of it is nothing but torture porn. Yeah, but would it have been as effective in 10 minutes? Would it have been as effective as if you didn't experience the entirety of it? You know what I mean? Like, because reading about the movie, I knew what it was going into it, and it still fucking had an effect on me. That's how effective the movie is because it puts you through it. That's the point. Anyway, this means that torture, suffering, and confusion is the main point of the film. The only thing in doubt is whether the philosophical issue has been added to pretend like it's a real movie, or if it was added intentionally to try and get away with it. Watch it if you are one of those sickos who enjoy watching helpless suffering, but you might spend your time and money better at a therapist. Go watch it, or watch it with some friends. Take note of who seems to enjoy watching it and never call them again. Funny thing about therapists, I told my therapist about this movie and what it means to me, and he thought it was very healthy. So he's like, it's healthy that's, you know, that you're watching something terrible and taking away something good from it. He's like, because that's what you should do in real life too, is if something terrible happens to you, you should look at the positives and take something, or take a lesson, maybe not necessarily look at something positive, but like take away some kind of lesson from it to help yourself grow as a person. And I've talked to him the same thing about The Last of Us Part 2, you know, fucking Spec Ops: The Line, all the funny games, like all these things that make you feel bad on purpose. And people don't, I think people just don't like having a mirror being put up in front of them and being shown like, hey, this is what you are sometimes. And it's not necessarily to say you're bad. It's just to be like, this is what you are. And then however you react to that says a lot more about you than it does the piece of art that you're consuming. You know what I mean? And that's just me. Because like when Spec Ops: The Line came out, everybody was like, oh, this game wants me to think I'm a bad person? Then why is it having me kill everybody? Why did you keep playing it? Like, that's the question. Why did you keep going?
Or the people who like chose not to skip No Russian.
Yeah. It's like that. It's like, why are you playing it, buddy? Like, why you could turn the game off.
Yeah.
But that's the point of Spec Ops is You were just following orders, right? You just kept going because you wanted to see what would happen, and this is where it brought you. And that's the point, and people just get mad. And I just think that's a little funny. Pointless torture makes no sense at all. If you're looking for something interesting, torture that makes you uncomfortable, this is what you're looking for in this movie. There is no storyline. There is nothing good in this movie, but torture. I see nothing unique in this movie. All I have left from this movie is negative thoughts. I just felt the same thing. Like I found the video on the internet, and there's some ISIS guys beheading each other. Okay, that's a very different tone than what we watched. That is not even close. That's real people dying. That is very different.
Yep.
That is very different. Oh my god. Disturbing. Yeah, it's a lot of this is disturbing torture with no point. Complete garbage. You can disregard any review that tells you that this is a clever movie or that it somehow deals with the mysterious big questions. All that is just a pretense to justify the production of what in reality is nothing but torture porn. Honestly, whatever story this film has or whatever question it asks, those take up less than 5 minutes of the film. The rest of it is more or less extended scenes of torture. If that gets you off, fine, go ahead and watch it, but please at least have the decency to not pretend that this is somehow a cultural masterpiece. The only real reason someone enjoys watching this film is that they secretly enjoy seeing people getting tortured. That's the thing is, like, we don't feel good about watching Anna getting beat.
No.
Like, it does not make you feel good. There's no, like, we can't even say, oh, the practical effects are great. Like, I know I did with, like, Anna looking a little goofy when she's skinned, but that was just because she looks a little goofy. But, like, that's because it's practical.
See, it's like how I told you, I finally watched the whole movie of Training Day the other day.
Mm-hmm.
It was like, while watching that movie, even through the fucked up parts, I had a smile on my face because it was entertaining me, and because that was the point.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's to entertain you. This one wasn't meant to entertain you. It was meant to make you feel something.
And I think, and that's why I appreciate the restraint, because he could have very easily done, like, all these elaborate practical effects that would have made me and any other movie go like, whoa, look at the dude's head, haha. Like, he could have easily done that.
It could have easily just thrown in a bunch of fucking sex and rape scenes, and it's like.
But that wasn't the point. The point is that it feels grounded. So, like, when the dad gets shot, like, if this was a more extreme horror movie, he would have gotten, like, fucking blown in half or something.
Yeah.
But no, he just gets a fucking hole in his gut, and it's a very real fucking portrayal of violence, which is the point. There's nothing. Oh my god! I just think these people are silly. Do not watch this movie. The most disturbing film I have ever seen, and I have seen a lot. I didn't expect it. I thought I was going to see some revenge spatter, high tension, or I think Inside is this other one. He listed the names in French. That's how you know he's a real one. It's like those fucking Japanese people saying, like, Cowboy Bebop in Japanese. Like, it's like, or not Japanese people, those anime fans that'll say, like, Cowboy Bebop in Japanese, and it's just like, just say Cowboy Bebop. What are you doing? And this was much more than that. The director seems that he wanted not only to provoke the audience, but to torture the audience. Yes. To make us who watched the movie feel sad and unpleasant. That's exactly the point. Also, how did you watch High Tension and feel good? What the fuck? How did you watch High Tension and feel, like, good about yourself? That's not the point of that movie either, dude. What the fuck?
That movie just made me mad.
I know. It made Justin mad because he didn't like the twist. But this is a torture porn film for the audience, not only for the main characters. If you watch this movie, you would get tortured psychologically in ways you can never imagine. And that's the point. I am not a sensitive guy, and I don't like movies like Mary Poppins. I have seen a lot of horror movies, but this was beyond my limits. Don't see this disgusting movie. The world is enough ugly. We don't need to shroud and darken our souls by watching this. Wow.
Wow. That was... like, basically my girlfriend's reaction.
That's fair. No, that's fair. I mean, that's a fair reaction. I just think it's silly.
She was just like, there's just fucked up people in the world, and that's all there is to it. It's like,
yeah, that's the point of, like, Solo too. But with Solo, there's undertones of, like, fascism and how the government literally fucks people. Yeah. So, you know, that's has a little more of a political idea behind it. But, like, the end message is the same, that people are just pieces of shit. Especially when they justify it.
Yeah.
Torture porn raises its ugly head again. Just another lame excuse for makeup artists to show off their skills and showing the human body ripped to shreds. Bro, there is one moment like that. Movie plot, LOL, give me a break. Let's see, to torture girls to the brink of death, to find out what's on the other side. If that was the intent, why not just ask anyone with cancer on their deathbed, you morons? That is mean.
Wow.
That is mean, dude. Movies like this continue to give true quote-unquote horror movies a bad name, and I will go out of my way to slam them every chance I can. The French seem to think the more blood and gore you show, the more horror fans will appreciate it. And just like last year's movie Inside, 90% of real horror movies fans in the world will never even want to see this piece of dribble. Just fanboys on the internet will squeal in their immature delight. I fought in a war where I saw bloody sights, so that's not what I find offensive here. It's the fact that some people think seeing senseless human bloody carnage is actually entertainment. I wonder if he likes war movies. I wonder if he likes Saving Private Ryan.
Probably.
I wonder. You know?
But even you can justify those movies as being disgusting too, because it's like, oh, why are you going to promote it? Because you know some veteran's going to see a commercial,
Yeah.
or end up watching the movie on TV and get triggered. It's
My
like,
grandpa couldn't watch Saving Private Ryan because of that opening scene. He said he tried to watch it once and I couldn't do it, and that's fine. I mean, that's a fair reaction. I mean, that's again the point that had a purpose too in Saving Private Ryan, which was to see what war looked like.
Yeah.
Because you would, up until that fucking movie, you had never fucking seen anything like that, especially in a big budget American movie. And that's fucking crazy. Because, yeah, that's why it literally made people walk out, because they were like, no, I can't handle that. And that's fair, because that's war, dude. Like, but that's the thing, is that's why I like watching stuff like that, because it's like, okay, I like to know what the reality is. You know what I mean?
yeah.
So I mean, and you know, in slasher films, it's for the practical effects. But you know, that's a whole nother. That's a completely different tone, though. Disgusting, nonsensical, and with little intellectual worth. It's quite rare that I'm moved to review something instantly upon seeing it, but I feel that the reviews and rating tricked me into watching this and want to warn others away. This film is disgusting. If you enjoy watching bloody young women screaming for a couple of hours, then this is for you. The movie's excuse for this is not a worthwhile payoff. I sat through this torture porn attempting to keep my lunch in my stomach because I was of the understanding that there was some grand intelligent reason for all this horror, and there wasn't. I think that's the point too, kind of. It thinks it's intelligent in the way someone who's just finished an introductory module thinks they're an expert. And if that's your bar for finding great meaning in a movie, you're setting it very low indeed. And just because something's French doesn't mean it's clever. This is as though Dan Brown had become a huge Rob Zombie fan. Honestly, stay away from this. If you're a gore fan, then its juvenile attempt at meaning will put you off. And if you're a serious film fan, you'll be disappointed and disgusted. I don't know, man. I feel like Rob Zombie's Halloween was a lot more gory than this movie.
Yeah.
But it's the tone that makes it feel worse than it is. But even still, I think the point that like there's some grand meaning behind it, and then there isn't. I think that's kind of the point of what the ending is, because maybe there isn't. You know, like that, like we talked about earlier. Let me see what else we got. Yeah, unsatisfied.
It's like everyone likes that poem from The Outsiders, but I mean, the basic message in that poem is like life is bleak.
Yeah, yeah. And but I mean, I again, I can understand why some people wouldn't want to watch this movie just to know that. But like, I think it's important. I mean, you know, you'll have fucking Christians and Catholics that watch Passion of the Christ, and the ultimate message of that movie is, man, people are fucking evil, huh? And the Passion of the Christ. You want to talk about a fucking splatter film, brother.
Yeah, this was they make a joke about that in Weeds, where Nancy's talking to one of the characters, and he's like, "Yeah, people got stoned to watch Passion of the Christ," and she was like, "No, they didn't." And he's like, "Have you tried watching it not stoned? Religion, my ass! It's a fucking snuff film."
I consider that such a splatter film that I am like tempted to make it one of the one-offs. Like, just because it's so like, that is one of the most violent movies and one of the most like disgusting movies I've ever seen. That being said, I think once again the violence has a purpose, but it is extreme, dude. It is one of the most violent things. And for me, again, not being very religious, to touch briefly on it, I think the point of that, the reason that I kind of connected with it, and the reason I still own it on Blu-ray, is because you're watching a guy die for something he believes in, and there's something. He's literally a martyr, like, and there's something to take from that. I think. Last Temptation of Christ is a much more interesting film, and that's because it's got Martin Scorsese behind it and stuff. But Passion of the Christ is still something. I don't know, like it's still a very interesting film, and they were showing that shit to kids, dude. They were showing that shit to kids in church. So don't fucking come at me getting on your fucking high horse about how as a Christian, mind you, I'm not talking about these people being reviewed, but don't come to me as like an evangelical or as a Christian talking about how the movies I like are disgusting or something when you probably watch Passion of the Christ every April. Like that's the same fucking thing, dude. And guess what? If the political message or if the religious message was all you really cared about with that movie, it would not have been sold for money. It would have just been made available for free, and Mel Gibson would not have made a profit on it. But guess what? He did, because we're a capitalist country, and capitalism is entwined with Christianity in this fucking country too. So I'm gonna get off my high horse now before I get shot. But, but that's what I'm saying. There's worse movies than this about torture. Passion of the Christ is more torture porn than fucking this, and I don't even think Passion of the Christ is torture porn. I'm just saying. But seriously, what is wrong with the world? Seriously, I'm not kidding about this one. Something must have gone right, straight wrong with the world that people think that all this depraved, senseless gore and torment and intelligence deprived garbage is anything that adds value to the legacy that we as mankind leave to those who call us their ancestors. Ugh. And what is up with the self-idealizing lunatics who go on a great length and mind-numbing posts analyzing and praising these pieces of excrement ever so obviously in covert attempts to toot their own horn at their self-deluded level of intellect and proficiency and artistic appreciation? Bro, you're using a lot of big words, and you're saying this is, like, pretentious, brother? Hold on. I can understand if some amateur movie makers want to throw their moral values out the window or put something like this together to get some quick and dirty exposure, but please spare us the praise. But that's not what he was going for, obviously. This isn't a Sam Raimi making The Evil Dead so that way they can make money to make other movies type thing. This is the point of the movie, Like, what? 1 out of 10, and I'm deducting the last 1 point from the next movie, La Gia Mix, although obviously I hope that never happens. I don't know what he's done since. I haven't looked it up if he has. Sad. The bad acting tries to hide behind offending pictures and violence.
Excuse me, bad acting?
I don't think the acting's bad at all. This production could be a guideline for pervert person who really like to hurt others or watch them suffer. The plot is cheap and meaningless. Maybe I don't have a clue about thrilling movies, but in my eyes, this is just another sick film for kids who vote this movie 10, forget it within 2 weeks, and care about acne and coolness again. The quality of the camera work, the set, the makeup, and set is pretty good. Some supporting actors did a nice job as well, but after all, this movie bored me, and I am disappointed from the director. You will have more fun in watching The Exorcist and Seven again. I wonder if he likes those movies. Seven's very good, and The Exorcist is real good too. Exorcist 3 is a little better, though, I think. Exorcist 3 fucking... Oh, God, I love Exorcist 3, dude. God, it's so good. Why? This is so genuine. Why are they searching to know something about other life? All humans will die, so you don't have a chance to choose for dying or living eternal. If the girl said something bad about the other life, could they choose living eternal? No. This film means nothing. It is only gore, blood, torture, and other disgusting things. So you get only angry after watching this film. And the other question, why don't we hear the words which was talked by the tortured girl to the old woman? Maybe they didn't find it interesting and special words about another life. If you make a scene like this, you have to fill it special words. Without words, the scene is meaningless.
No, because that carries on the message that you're not supposed to know.
Yeah.
Fucking dumbass.
And the final, everybody are old in this cult. They don't need to torture a girl to find what is going on in the other life. If they wait enough, they can see the other life. So this cult, this movie, and torturing are meaningless. Okay, but like she explicitly explains that in the movie, people only see the other side when they're after extreme suffering. That's why she says nobody envisages suffering anymore, because nobody views it as a necessary thing to die anymore. No one views it as a rite of passage anymore. They just view it as bad. And that's the point, is these people are fucking evil, and they want to torture people to find out what's on the other side. Like, that's, come on. Are you all sick? I've read some of the comments about this movie, and I'm shocked. Both sides either loving or hating this movie seem sick to me. Why? Because not one comment told that the movie is just plain evil. It's not funny, it's not entertaining, and I must say I have a weakness for gore. It's not brilliant and truth revealing, it's just evil. I wonder how many sick bastards can now jerk off to this piece of crap. It's every torture porn lover dream come true. I don't know, Justin, you like torture porn. Was it your dream come true?
No.
Yeah, that's what I thought. The creators of Martyrs are goddamn psychos. So if you're a torture porn lover, be my guest. Get some tissues and a bottle of lotion and have fun. But even if you're a gore movies fan, but you have some humanity left inside you, don't watch this. I regret I watched this piece of crap, and I'd do anything at this point to turn back time and not watch it. You have been warned. Now it's your choice. Wow. That guy wasn't happy. Oh my god. Requiem for the Death of Art, brother. This dude wrote a whole essay. Oh my god. Oh my god. A masterpiece. Don't think you watched the same movie I did. Just plain silly. Was expecting something good. That one's so simple. I really like that one. It was just silly. That's such a fucking funny thing to say. Oh my god, this dude didn't even watch the movie. His title is Traumatized Girl Thinks She Found Those Who Molested Her 15 Years Ago and Takes Revenge. Bro, the movie goes out of its way to tell you she wasn't raped. Like, what are you talking about? They don't use sexual... Oh my god. I truly hate this film. I can't believe people gave it more than 1 in ratings. Those who like it are deeply sick people beyond cure. There is no point, no conclusion, no plot. Only brutal torture and murder. The Hostel franchise doesn't compare at all. I hated every second of it. Awesome, dude. Awesome. Waste of the decade. What the fuck?
Waste of the decade.
Too much and too much violence. Waste of time. Sleeping Stupid Beauty. I think he wanted to say stupid. Do people really enjoy overly prolonged torture scenes? Again, I think they're just missing the point of it. Which, I mean, and again, it's fine because if you watch it on a surface level, you're not going to get that out of it. But you have to like think about why you're seeing what you're seeing. And I guess not everybody wants to do that or can't do that. I don't know, but all these are pretty much the same thing where it's just like, oh, it's just torture porn, and it's just this, it's just that, and I'm like, I don't think that's it. I don't think that's it. Anyway, let's go to the remake and talk about. Ooh, the house that Jack built is under You Might Also Like. just so I could. So under You Might Also Like, we have Inside, which I have under High Tension over there. We have I Spit on Your Grave. I think the remake. That's the remake, yeah. The remake of I Spit on Your Grave.
The remake and it's like 3 sequels.
Yeah. What is that? Is that a roach?
Get it, George.
That's a really big fucking fly. Oh, it might be a moth. It's probably a moth.
Mothra.
High Tension, Hostel, Incident in a Ghostland, Eden Lake, which is a very mean movie. The House That Jack Built, Audition, I guess, Raw, Antichrist, Funny Games. Both funny games, Irreversible, The Babadook, The Collector, It Follows, a Serbian film, Saw, The Ritual, The Blair Witch Project, and the remake of The Hills Have Eyes. So if you like Martyrs, you might also like those, is what IMDb thinks. And I think IMDb is a little silly. Let me see. All right. This one is the opposite. A lot of 1-star reviews, like more 1-star reviews than anything. It's got a 4 out of 10 on IMDb. Hold on, let me see. Let me take care of this fucking thing real quick. Hey, just keep them busy, Justin. Keep talking. Do your type 5.
My type 5. I don't know what that is, but
Like a comedy set.
yeah, sometimes a movie's not just meant to entertain you. I feel like if you open your mind when you watch things or listen to music, you'll get a different perspective out of it instead of, ooh, flashing lights, superhero, I'm supposed to be entertained. No. Like even fucking Avengers, you could sit there and deeply think about shit that like Thanos says, because there'll be some trains of thought where you go like, maybe he is right. Maybe the world would be better with less people. But was his way about doing it right? No. Or like fucking even I have to be nerdy for a second. I mean, I already said Avengers, so I'm on the train. But fucking in Naruto, there's a dilemma like that too with the leader of the Akatsuki. He wants peace in the world, but his goal to get peace is through violence and killing anybody that doesn't want to do his thing. It's like, is that really peace? Like, no, just look past the surface, go deeper. There's something to see there.
Yeah, you don't have to turn your brain off for everything, but I think that's the problem is that a lot of people view movies, and I know we've talked about it before, a lot of people view movies as purely just entertainment. That's why they don't like it when like actors who are human beings, like the rest of us, talk about politics. That's why they don't like it when movies talk about politics, because they see it as just, oh, this is just something for my monkey brain. No, it's art. And the point of art is to make you think. And that's why I love it so much, because I like thinking. Use your brain. It's one of the things God gave you, right? So use it. But yeah, no, I think, I don't think you, like, don't get me wrong. For some slashers, you just got to turn your brain off and enjoy it.
Well, yeah, of course.
But like, that's a completely different tone than this. That is a completely different vibe. Anyway, one of the rare fans of the original that liked it. Unlike most others, I welcome horror movie remakes. I know that most end up being trash, but there are the few that end up being decent horror movies in their own merit. Yes, I'm a fan of the original 2008 French film Martyrs. I mean, I really love the intense, raw terror of the original. But like most have said, it wasn't just about the terror. It had deep meaning, which is why it has become one of the biggest horror cult classics of the past 20 years. So when I heard that they were making an American remake, I was honestly excited. The producers promising to keep the intensity of the original. This announcement was way back in 2010, so you can imagine I've been waiting nearly 6 years for this. Now the film is finally here. I will admit that the trailer for this film released online made it look very mediocre. And I knew that most other fans of the original would trash the film relentlessly, regardless of its true value. It is hard not to compare this to the original. The critics' reviews seem implausible too. I guess I'm the rare fan of the original that actually liked it. What's funny about that is he didn't say a single thing about why he liked it. He just said he liked it. Excellent horror. I bet you that's a fucking bot. I guarantee you that's a fucking bot. Excellent horror. Great movie. Sounds like people were just disappointed because the original was better. Who cares? I never saw the original, and this was a good movie. Too bad for them. I just watched this movie and loved it. I watch a lot of horror. I've seen some really bad films. What the fuck? This one kept me on the edge of my seat. Has quite a lot of gore, but not over the top. It twists, it turns, it's sinister, scary, and the acting is well done from all. It really is a true horror movie with a lot going on. So if you are like me, you'll think you have figured it out about a dozen times before you get it, and that is awesome. I am thoroughly pleased with this movie. Better than the original French movie.
Wow.
I first watched this movie and really enjoyed it. Not only did the actors did a great job, but also the music in the last 10 minutes of the movie. Everything just floated perfectly. I've read many reviews about this movie, and I think most people just give it a 1 star because it is a remake. That is not why I don't like it. But I don't believe that's fair. People shouldn't rate a movie based on that, but should do it simply based on quality of this movie. I think it is unfair. This movie is one of the best movies I have ever watched. The ending was very emotional, and the original I watched later on didn't even come close.
What?
The torture level, the original was way over the top. In this remake, there isn't that much torture, but the acting and music are so good that it hurts even more.
That makes no sense.
Simply no need to torture like hell. Their eyes say enough. Props to the makers. Great job. Imagine, if you will, in season 2 of Daredevil, when Styx is being tortured and he's having bamboo sticks shoved into his fingertips, one of the other few times I've squirmed at a torture sequence. Imagine if they just showed the bamboo stick and then showed Styx's face. Would it have been as effective? No, it wouldn't have been as effective. And that's the point. Would it have been as effective as if in Syriana, if George Clooney, you just saw the pliers and then you saw them go onto his fingernail and then you just saw his reaction? No, it would not have been as effective. That's the point. These people miss the point, Justin. And it's very weird. Anyway, there's only like 4 reviews for this remake, but they're all 10 out of 10s. Let me see. Don't agree with the other viewers at all. Best movie I've seen in a long time. Okay, so I am a movie fanatic. And I have seen almost every scary movie and damn near about every other genre as well.
I doubt that.
I thought this was the original when I watched it, and I have been trying to see that one for years. However, I've not been able to find it. Let me say for someone who has not seen... What do you mean you can't find it? Anyway, let me say for someone who has not seen the first one, which is why most of the reviewers say they hated this one, but this movie was so good. I will be recommending it to everyone. It was a little hard to watch as it was really intense and just crazy. This movie has a totally unique plot line. Well, not if you watch the original one. And great acting. And even then, it's not really unique because the ending goes how you would expect an American movie to go. They turn Anna into a final girl. That's not... That's not... Oh, God, that's so disrespectful. Those words came out of my mouth and I felt bad. They turned Anna into a final girl. That's not what she's supposed to be, man. That's not what she is in the original. At the end, when everything came together, I just sat there for a minute thinking that was such a good movie. If you like things that are out of the box and just a thrill to watch, this is it. I am still trying to find the old one so I can watch it. However, I'm scared it is going to be way too gory for me, as this one almost got turned off and I am not squeamish at all. But this is a must-see. Okay. Good, gory film, less disturbing than original. Good film. I love gory horror films, even psychological horror film. That's the whole review. That's the whole review. God bless you. Potato234. God bless you. Well, that's all the reviews for the remake.
What a great list.
What a great movie, huh?
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah. So, yeah, that's how we feel. I don't know. I don't really know what else we have to say. I just think the remake. Again, I watched it first because I didn't want to have the original so fresh on my mind, you know. And even watching it first, it didn't work. Yeah, George sees something we don't.
Yep.
He probably sees a bug. I'm sure it's a bug, but I just don't know where it is. What a cats, man! I'll tell you. But yeah. So, good movie and bad movie. The gap in quality is honestly astounding. But I mean that's fine. If you like the remake, that's fine. If it's like a more palatable version for you, but I just think it misses the point of what the original was trying to say. Because yeah, George is being a little weird boy. Because yeah, it's just I don't know. It just doesn't work, I think. Yeah, it's a shame. But yeah, the original, one of my favorite movies ever. It's very good.
If you can get through it.
It's very hard to watch, but it's very good.
It's worth it.
I think it's worth it completely. Yeah, they really did tone down the gore in the second one, in the sequel, or in the remake, though. Like, they really did. You're right about that. I'm thinking about it more, and they really did tone it down. Because, like, yeah, they don't even find a girl with, like, a forbidden Oculus Rift on her head. They find Anna finds a little girl instead, and then later on she finds some other girl that helps her kill the dad from Halloween 2018. Which it took me forever to realize what he was from, by the way. And then I was like, oh, fuck me, that's the dad from Halloween. God damn it. What a movie. Anyway, yeah, watch the original if you got morbid curiosity, which, to be fair, that's why I picked this. That's part of the reason I picked this to be the next movie we did, because I wanted to watch the remake. But the original was fantastic, means a lot to me. And yeah, I don't know, I liked it a lot. And that's all I have to say. What about you, Justin?
Don't watch the remake.
That's it?
Sucks.
That's all you have to say? Just don't watch the remake. It sucks.
Then, like I said earlier, too, if you can make it through this movie, then I feel like the payoff is worth it.
I think you should just walk away, like, having your own interpretation of the ending. That's why I like endings like this.
Yeah.
Because then you can make up your own interpretation, and I think that's good. And yeah, I think it's pretty successful. I like it a lot. So that's our episode. That's Martyrs. That's Martyrs, baby. We did it. We did Martyrs.
One terrible in the way that of what happens in the movie. Not that the movie was
one
terrible.
extreme.
Extreme down. A few more to go.
Yeah, because I guarantee you, after I watch Inside, that's going to be my pick coming up soon. But yeah. So yeah. Thanks for listening. Follow us on YouTube. Follow us on Facebook. Justin runs that page. And yeah, just thanks for listening. Wherever you get your podcast from, listen to us there too if you want. I don't know. Just do whatever you want. I'm not your dad. But yeah, next week we start Scream.
Yay!
Another one of my favorite movies ever.
I can finally watch these.
I don't know how you're gonna like them. I'm gonna be honest.
I've seen the ending to the first one. Whichever one takes place on a stage.
That's part 2. Yeah.
Okay, I've seen part of number 2 then, and that's it. And Scary Movie. That's my exposure to Scream.
I feel like you're gonna like the first one. You're gonna like parts of the second one. You might hate the third one. I really like it. And then everything after that, I think you're just gonna kind of feel about it. But I fucking love Scream, dude. It's one of my favorite horror franchises ever. Like, I love it so much. It's so good. So yeah, that's what we're covering next week. Is we're gonna watch Scream from 1996.
Scream.
R.I.P. Wes Craven, baby.
Scream, and then a one-off
that Justin picks this time. So Godspeed.
No, I already know what I'm gonna pick.
Yeah,
it's not a bad one.
I'm scared. I won't know until at the end of next episode.
Yeah.
So
I'll tell you till then.
So that's what we're doing.
But it's a movie I've already mentioned to you before.
Awesome, dude. I can't wait. But yeah, that's our episode. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next time when we talk about Scream.
Yep.
Get it? Scream.